What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we need to take a look at something a little bit weird that's going on in Keyforge. You see, every house in Worlds Collide has a creature that, if it is in the centre of the battle line, gives you a huge advantage. And I thought, well, that seems like a theme in terms of cards, and if there's one thing that I like doing, it's playing around with themes and making videos about them. So, with all of that borne in mind, let's start off with Brobnar and Kaloch Stonefather, a 6-power, 0-armor creature, which incidentally is in and of itself fairly beefy. While it is in the centre of your battle line, each friendly creature gains skirmish. Now that's a little bit ridiculous. We're not talking like, ooh, there's quite a, no. Everyone gains skirmish. Now, skirmish says that if you start a fight, you take no damage in return. Now, if your opponent attacks you, skirmish does nothing, but as long as you start the fight, you don't take any damage in return. It's kind of ridiculous. And every single one of your creatures has it. And that's very, very relevant, of course, because remember that Brobnar is a house that is rather into the whole fighting thing. And you got all these fight abilities, which are definitely guaranteed to fire, because they fire if you survive the fight, and you will survive the fight because you can't be hurt. Why don't we also take a look at Lord Invidius? A 5-power 0-armor creature with elusive, so again, fairly beefy. And while it is in the centre of your battle line, it gains Reap. Take control of an enemy flank creature and exhaust it. While under your control, it belongs to House Dis. That's crazy. You just get to nick one of their creatures. You get to take... Now, it's only one of the two on the flank. You don't get an open choice. But as long as you can find a creature on the flank that you kind of like, you take it. You take control of it, and then it becomes a Dis creature until, essentially, it goes away or some other thing happens. It's redonkulous. Now, the other thing is, it gains a skill that it does it while reaping if it's in the centre of your battle line. So even if it goes off the centre of your battle line, you've still got that creature. It doesn't say, while in the centre of your battle line, you have control of one of the flank creatures. It is while in the centre of the battle line, you can reap to get control of one, and that is a very, very different thing. So this is really good. You just get to take control of one of your creatures. I mean, we've seen a whole bunch of cards in the past, like Collar of Subordination, or Merkins, or Hypno Beam, which have been able to actually take your opponent's creatures and take control of them, and they're so good. I love them. This is just one more, and it's only flank creatures, but bearing in mind, if you can keep it in the centre of your battle line, it's a 5-power creature with elusive, you can potentially do this over and over again. Now, I love logos, and I kind of want this image on a mat. Zenzizenzizenzic. Zenzizenzizenzic. There we go. 4 power, 2 armor, so they're all a little bit different, but we've had high power, decent power and elusive, and lots of armor, so they all seem to be a little bit beefy here, don't they? During your draw card step, if Zenzizenzizenzic is in the centre of your battle line, refill your hand to 2 additional cards. Now, this makes it a bit more awkward than the others. Because one of the things about most of these cards, not Zenzizenzizenzic, but most of them, is that it doesn't really matter. So, when we look at Lord Invidius, just don't reap until he's in the centre of your battle line. Play a creature, put him in the centre, i.e. play a creature that then makes him in the centre. Reap, and then you can even play another creature so he's no longer in the centre. You just need it at the point, and it can be any point during your turn you reap with him. It doesn't really matter. Whereas Zenzizenzizenzic comes in, and it's got to be in the centre of your battle line, essentially at the end of your turn, and that's really awkward. Really awkward. Because you might then have to not play a creature that you did want to play, because it's too awkward. Now, having said that, this is one of the best ones out there. I mean, Mother is a great card. We all know Mother is a great card. We've all accepted Mother as a great card. The thing is that Mother lets you refill your hand to 1 additional card. This is literally like having 2 Mother out at the same time. It's redonk. It is absolutely redonk. It's brilliant. It's crazy good. It's more restrictive than the others because it's got to be at the end of your turn, and that's a pain. But I would say that it's worth it because it's ridiculous. Saurus Rex. 6 power, no armor, so just like we saw back on Kaloch Stonefather. And when you fight or reap, if it is in the center of your battle line, you may exalt it. And if you do, search your deck for a Saurian card and add it to your hand. Oh, yeah, this one is also really, really good. Now, exalting it means you put an amber on it from the common pool, and of course, as we've talked about many times with the Saurian Republic, if your opponent then takes out that creature, they get the amber. And it's an amber that came from the common pool, so that can be awkward. But even bearing all that in mind, this is still a phenomenal ability. We have very little search in Keyforge. Search is not something we get. We do get to draw until we got 6 cards in hand at the end of our turn. We do get quite a bit of draw power, but searching is not something that we get in Keyforge. To the point where Igor became a really good card back in Age of Ascension because it let you look at the top 3 cards and put 1 in your hand. And that was amazing because we just don't have very much search. Being able to search any Saurian card, and it's not even just creature, right? It's any Saurian card, is really genuinely over the top great. It's not what we usually see in Keyforge, and it will give you a huge advantage. What if you go and search out something like Triumph, that ridiculous card that lets you, if you've got more creatures than your opponent, i.e. they've got none and you've got at least 6, you exalt them all and just forge a key at no cost. Yeah. This literally, and Saurian Republic have free key cheating cards. I've done a video about key cheats, I'll pop a link in the description. So frankly, the fact that you can search them out is ridiculous. Shadows have a council. It's a little bit shadowy. It's the Shadow Council. And it's a 3 power, 0 armor creature, but it does have elusive. So, yeah, it's still weaker than the rest of them. Lord Invidius had 5 power and elusive. But while it is in the center of your battle line, it gains an action. Steal 2 amber. Yeah, we like this. We really like this. There are plenty of Shadows creatures out there, or at least a few of them, the Yancey gang come to mind, who have an action that steals 1 amber. Well, this is double that. Stealing 2 amber is great. Stealing 2 amber is what bait and switch can manage nowadays post-errata. Stealing 2 amber is phenomenal, and like we said about most of them, not the Zenzizenzizenzic, but most of them, it doesn't really matter here because just make sure it's in the center at some point, and then you're golden. Maybe your opponent just takes down all of one side of your battle line while leaving the other alone, forcing it not to be in the middle. But then, of course, you can just play the game whereby you play creatures you don't want your opponent to destroy on the line that they're not going after, and then they've either got to leave the creatures there or risk letting you get this in the center of your battle line. It's really kind of lovely. And yeah, just one more time, right? Stealing amber is good. Now, the only one of these we actually saw before the release of, well, the big Target leak of 2019 was Captain Val Jericho. A 5 power, 1 armor creature. So it's kind of like Zenzizenzizenzic, except it's got 1 more power and 1 less armor. And what we see here is if it is in the center of your battle line, you may play 1 card that is not of the active house. Now, the wording on this is extremely important. This does not say during a Grand Star Alliance turn, and it does not say 1 non-Grand Star Alliance card. It is, during your turn, play 1 card that is not of the active house. And what that means is that this is an every turn thing. Every single turn you may play 1 card that is not of the active house. And that's bearing in mind that we got stuff like Helper Bot in Age of Ascension that was a 1 power creature, and it let you play 1 non-logos card the turn you played it. This is one non-active house card every single turn. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And most of these cards are super powerful, right? But I think Captain Val Jericho might take the biscuit. She is, of course, the leader of the Grand Star Alliance and has been quoted on a bunch of cards even before Worlds Collide, so maybe it's fair. Hey, speaking of creatures that were quoted on a bunch of cards before Worlds Collide, how about Eldest Bear? Now, we did look at Eldest Bear the other day. He did get his own video, and I kind of love him, if I'm honest with you. Now, Eldest Bear comes in 5 power, no armor, no elusive, but does have assault 3. That is to say that if Eldest Bear attacks a creature, it does 3 damage before the attack even starts. So if you go after something like the aforementioned Helperbot, like the aforementioned Merkins, like the aforementioned Igor, yeah, I'm just picking creatures I've already talked about, you deal 3 damage to and destroy them before the fight even happens. And if it's in the center of your battle line, it gains before fight, gain 2 amber. So gaining amber is lovely, but again, the fact that it's before fight is extremely relevant here, because it means even if you don't survive the fight, you get it. Fight skills work only if your creature survives the fight. If it's destroyed, you don't get the fight skill. But before fight, as the name might imply, comes in before the fight. And that means that before the fight happens, you deal 3 damage and you gain 2 amber. And then even if the creature isn't destroyed, you've still got a 5 power Eldest Bear. You can take down an 8 power creature with it while gaining 2 amber. And of course, most of the time, we're making a decision. Do we reap to gain amber, or do we fight to take out creatures? Eldest Bear can fight to take out creatures while gaining twice as much amber as you would have gained if you'd sat there reaping, and that's why I love Eldest Bear. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Every house has one creature here that really loves being in the center of the battle line, and I have shown you all of them. It is worth noting that Zenzizenzizenzic, seriously, love the artwork, love the name. Can I please have it on an official playmat? That would be lovely. Is the only one of these that really needs to be in the center at the end of your turn. All the others, you can manipulate it during your turn, and then it doesn't matter at the end. But Zenzizenzizenzic is a little bit weird. But now, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to know what you think about all of these cards. Which ones of these do you want to draw in your Worlds Collide deck? Which one of these do you think look particularly fun? Let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wossy. That's where we talk about games like Keyforge, but any others. And do please consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get weekly bonus podcasts, etc. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wossy Plays.